So thank you, everyone. This is Nafisa Cabrera Esteves, and we are here for the How I Write series, and we have our special guest, Shirin Shamsi. And I'm really honored to have Shirin here. I have known Shirin for what we said 8 years, and I met Shirin working as a Barefoot Books ambassador. We both are lovers of books and decided to share Barefoot Books with our communities. And it's so beautiful for me to be able to see Shirin's writing journey and see all the beautiful books that she's been sharing with the world, and just reading them myself is just, it's very touching. So thank you, Shirin, for coming.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And it's such an honor to be here with you, Nafisa. And yes, it really has been a journey since we first met. We shared our dreams with each other, and alhamdulillah, look, our dreams are coming true now. So
alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Shirin, part of our How I Write series is to connect the Muslim writers in our program to authors, Muslim authors who are already established, so we could learn from each other, and also see how similar our paths are, or what we need to look into and learn. So what was your first memory of being a writer?
Well, if I go back to my childhood, I remember the 7-year-old taking my pocket money with my sister to the shop around the corner, and buying my first diary and writing in it every day. That is my original first memory. But really, when I became a mother, that was when I seriously thought I need to write books for my children, so they will feel seen and so that was what motivated me to really sign up for a class and begin writing.
So did you sign up for a class in your local community?
I did. This was when the youngest was 3, and I wouldn't have, I just held this dream within me, but I mentioned it once to my husband. I saw an ad for a children's literature class. I think it just said, "Do you want to be a children's writer?" And I just said to my husband, this is my dream. This really is what I want to do. And he just said, "Go for it." It was as simple as that. But if I had not said it, it would have just been a dream that I didn't share with anyone. But I signed up for that class then, and yeah.
So that was when your daughter was 3, and how old are your kids now?
My son was 3. He is 31 now, so it has been a very long journey. It's about the journey, isn't it? Because you learn in your own way, and I think my journey is longer than many other writers. I think partly because I didn't believe I could do it. I always had this fear, and my fear was always stronger than my desire to write. It held me back for many, many years, and I just want to tell people that if I can do it, then anyone can do it. That's really the truth that I have learned.
Alhamdulillah. I'm gonna let in a couple of people that are waiting. Here we go. There's Ambata, one of our other members. MashaAllah. It's so nice. It's so nice to see them. Assalamu alaikum, Ambata. Thanks for joining us.
Assalamu alaikum. Oh, thank you, Anam.
Yes. So Anam said that she really values hearing that, and Shirin, yes, thank you for sharing that, because that is one of the topics that we talk a lot about at the Muslim Writer Salon. One of our online gatherings was on imposter syndrome and like who is a writer and how can we deal with that. And sometimes just vocalizing that we have that fear just helps us through, because we realize that so many other writers have gone through the same experience.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that. And so what has been your process in becoming a writer, and why did you choose to write for children? So you said a little bit about like you decided to be a children's book writer because you wanted your kids to be seen. And so can you expand on that, and what other things did you do after that first writing class that you took?
So my children were very young, so I didn't spend a lot of time writing. But when I think back to my own childhood, I was the only Muslim, the only brown kid in my elementary school, and no one knew who I was. Or, I always had that sense that I'm different and I didn't belong, and I had no confidence, very low self-esteem. And so when I became a mother, I wanted my children to feel proud of their heritage and to feel comfortable in who they are, because those were some things that I struggled with, and I wanted them to be different. And I did actually write what is now Zahra's Blessing. I wrote it for them because Ramadan fell around Christmas time when my children were, and there were no Ramadan stories, Eid stories, and so I wrote it for them, and I laminated it and I read it to them. I shared it with their class, and it just took those 25 years for it to become a book that I can share with all children.
Sure. That's really, really beautiful. So okay, so we met through Barefoot Books as an ambassador, and so you published Zahra's Blessings through Barefoot Books. So was it like, how did that come about?
It was just the most unexpected dream come true that you can imagine, because I signed up 12 years ago to become community bookseller. That's what it's called now. It was called ambassador then. Now it's community bookseller. So I signed up 12 years ago, and deep in my heart, my innermost reason, I think, was that I wanted to be published by them because their global perspective was so unique at that time. I don't think there was any other publisher like them. But then I fell in love with their books, and I wanted to share them with everyone I knew. So I did that for many years, and my dream of writing kind of went on the back bench. And then I think when my youngest went to college, I thought, if I don't focus on this dream now, then will I ever do it? So I started writing again, and I took this story out and polished it. And I heard that Twitter has this pitch party where, several times a year, you can just pitch your story, just 2 lines. And agents and editors will be looking at those stories. And I thought, that's such a simple thing. Let me try that. So I pitched Zahra's Blessing, and it was unbelievable that it was an editor from Barefoot Books that liked it, and that's how it all began. And she didn't know me, so it was just so unexpected and amazing.
So you didn't even use your poll, like Shirin, like no. you know Nancy. Mashallah.
That's the amazing thing. I just thought, they're not open to unagented authors, so there's no way I can ever be published by them. And yet that dream was always there. And so I think you should voice your dreams. One thing I highly recommend, because this is what I do, I write down what my goals are, even if they seem impossible. I always write them down now, because you just never know. Maybe in your subconscious you're working at them.
No, definitely. And it's like one of the things that like nothing is impossible for Allah. So like if we don't ask, if we don't also believe, like we're never giving it a chance. So it's so beautiful that you did that, Shireen. I'm so glad I asked you that question. I did not know that story at all. So
Yeah, it's amazing. And then something even more amazing happened. So when the editor acquired my manuscript, she emailed me and said, I need to share something with you. Can I call you? And I said, yes, of course. So she said, I found an illustrator and she says that she knows you. And I thought, how can it be possible? I don't know any illustrators. She said that when Manal Mirza, the illustrator, when she was 7 years old, you read a story that you had written to her class. And I had actually illustrated it too, really badly. But for a 7-year-old, she said that it made it was clear to her that a human being makes these books and that she could do that. And that's what inspired her. So,
oh my gosh, Shireen, you're making me cry. Wow.
I did. I actually broke down and cried because I look at the circular ways in which blessings surround us and come to us from such unexpected places. So
mashallah.
I think we should be open to the impossible because nothing is possible.
That is so beautiful, Shireen. Wow, mashallah, that is really, really beautiful. Like it is, your book is full of blessings, mashallah. You know, it's so nice, so nice. So now that you're an empty nester, right? So you have 2 adult children and you have some cats.
Actually, 3.
Three
human children and 3 cats.
3 human children and 3 cats, right?
6 in all, yes.
And so now, like, what's like your writing schedule now, or what rituals or habits do you have to keep yourself writing?
Okay, so I will tell you what my ideal day is because they don't come very frequently, but this is what I aim for. So I aim to get up pre-dawn, I pray, I watch sunrise with a cup of tea, and I clear my thoughts. And then I write my morning pages. I don't know about Julia Cameron's morning pages. They're so amazing because they declutter your mind and I feel like they trigger creativity. They just open you up to be more creative. And so then I will write and I will jot down any ideas that come to me and I really enjoy it. I do get lost in my writing because sometimes my husband will come home after a day's work and I will say, I don't know where the time went. Those are my good days, you know, and those are the good writing days when that happens, when I get lost in my writing. And it's such a blessing to be able to do that. And
yes,
I appreciate it.
And how about your other days? Like, do you just decide not to write, or you do other things like editing or research? Like, what do you do on like, I know for me, I have like high days and low days. Yes. And I kind of like have a rhythm to them to help me not feel like a blob. Do you have like the low days? Do you still, are you still able to do something, or you let yourself rest?
Definitely. I have those low days when there is no creativity coming out of no inspiration, but then I will critique some. I have a critique group, so there's always critiquing other writers' works. And reading, I love to read, listen to audiobooks, and then I get my steps in. I do my walking and listening. And then I've decided, seeing as dreams do come true if you put in the time and the effort. And so I decided I want to learn how to draw. So I have a table with my pencils and sketching paper. So I work on, when I'm not writing, I love to draw. And that's really it's cathartic in a way. Sometimes, you know,
Mhm,
if I have anxiety, I find
mhm.
really helps, and painting and just not putting pressure on yourself. On a day when I know I'm not feeling like I can write, I don't put pressure on myself. I just say, okay, we can do something else. And
Inshallah, yeah, that's a really good way of looking at it
each,
and doing it. Yeah.
yeah, no pressure.
Um, yeah, no pressure. So Anand says, see, no, I'm going to the wrong thing. It's so hard when I'm on the phone. She says, I would love to hear more about morning pages. I struggle with consistent 3 full pages. So can you talk a little bit about what morning pages are for those who don't know?
So in morning pages are it's like stream of consciousness. You just get a pencil and paper or a notebook and you just write down whatever thoughts are in your mind. And sometimes it's 2.5 pages. Sometimes it's 1 page. Again, there should never be any pressure because pressure kills creativity. I
Mhm,
really think that it really does. So just be gentle on yourself and do whatever you can. But I do think that just allowing yourself to write without judgment, I think that's the biggest thing is you think, I'm just going to write 3 pages of rubbish. And then you
mhm,
will write those pages because you don't need to share them with another human being. They're
mhm,
just there for you. And then you can rip them up if you want. I mean, I don't
mhm,
do that, but sometimes I will. So,
mhm,
yeah, just free your creativity in different
mhm.
activities that replenish you. Sometimes just going for a walk will be what unleashes the creative spirit, whatever
Thank
works.
you. Thank you. That's really beautiful. Um, so what are you working on right now, Shirin?
So in Ramadan, because I
Mhm,
didn't see anyone, it's a very, I call it my Ghare Hira time. I just
mhm,
completely go inward. And so I do have time to write as well because, you know, you do as much as you can. And then, so I enjoy writing as well. And I actually completed a rough draft of my middle grade novel. And I did it this way because I have been stuck with that for
mhm,
so, and I just thought, I'm going to write it, just whatever comes out, wherever it goes, I will let it lead me. And I'm, it can be totally rubbish. Like, you know, when I allow myself to write bad stuff, you know, just something that may not make any sense, that's when I'm able to produce something. Because you know,
mhm,
you can improve it. Once it's on the paper, you can improve it again and again and again. So,
mhm.
so yes, I've got the rough draft and it's really bad, but I'm going to work on it.
Mashallah. I'm sure it's a lot better than you think it is.
Well, my problem is I don't know. I never get it right. You know how a 12-year-old thinks. You know,
Yes.
my children are grown up, so I don't know many 12-year-olds, and I really struggle with that. But I'm listening to audiobooks, you know, middle
Mhm.
grade audiobooks, and it kind of gives you an idea. So
Well, yeah, you could talk to my kid, Shireen.
I would,
Yes. My son is 12 and my daughter is 10, and she seems older than 10 anyway, but I'm learning a lot. You have to keep up with them because it
yeah.
changes so much.
Oh,
It
you learn
changes.
from your children. Yeah.
So Shireen, so you have two books published by traditional publishers, and you also self-published as well, right?
No,
Or
actually, the original book, Layla and the Sands of Time, was published
yes,
by a small publishing company
yes.
based
Mhm.
in Texas. So it's Claire Fork Publishing. It's
Yes.
a
Okay.
small print, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's run by the wonderful Callie Metler.
And that's a chapter book? Is it a chapter book
Yes,
or a middle grade?
it's a middle grade novel.
Yes, yeah, I remember when it first came out.
Yeah.
And then you have these two, and then the Moon of Dehradun is your latest one, right? And it's published by Simon and Schuster. Am I
Right.
correct? Yeah.
Which is an imprint of Simon and Schuster.
Yes, an imprint of them. And so this is a story about the partition. And so you're a child of the partition, correct?
So my mother grew up
Uh-huh.
during the partition. So
Yes.
her parents had to leave their home
Mm-hmm.
overnight and
Mm-hmm.
flee for their lives. And I heard that story growing up, and it was always so sad and painful to imagine, that this is what
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through. And then when I started writing, I knew I had to write this story, but I was afraid of writing it because it was so painful. And how can I write a picture book that is child friendly? You don't want to upset a child, but you want to teach them something about the partition. So it took a long time to figure out how to make it accessible to a child through a picture book. And I'm so grateful that it got picked up. And this is the book which got me an agent also. I did the same thing. I pitched it on DV Pitt the following year. So in 2019, I pitched Zara's Blessing. And in 2020, I pitched The Moon from Dehradun. At the time, it was called Train Journey. So, story titles change many, many. And I pitched it, and the following day, I saw there were 7 agents and editors who had liked or hearted the pitch, which I had to send them the manuscript. And when I sent it out to all of them, within 12 hours, I heard back from Sabah Suleiman, who is my agent now, and she's so amazing. I'm so grateful that she just loved the story so much. Like she knew exactly what I felt. She felt the thing when she read it. So pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is a very touching story and just full of history too. Like I did like how you were able to write it for a child and make it so accessible, and also like showing that the similarities of how like 2 different families in the story had to move, one Hindu and one Muslim had to move, and how their experiences were very similar and very, very heartbreaking too, having to start over. And alhamdulillah that you were able to get that book out there and write it. It's very important, Shirin. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I'm really grateful. And I've met so many people from India and Pakistan who tell me their family story. So there are so many people who went through this. It was the world's, history's largest forced migration. Yet so few books about it because, that trauma, it continues through generations, and people don't talk about it. So I'm glad there are books now that do deal with the subject.
So what's your agent's name again?
Sabah Suleiman of Talcott Notch Literary.
And what's your relationship? Like how does it work to work with an agent?
Well, I have told her I can only handle good news. So when she has good news, she contacts me. But we do check in with each other now and then. Like, for example, my recent submission has been out for about 6 months now. We haven't had any, takes from editors. And so we check in with each other. She lets me know what's going on, and I contact her. Like I just sent her an email to say to her Eid Mubarak. So I talked about the book I'm working on and struggling with, just to stay in touch. But I know that if I wanted, she could call me every time I had a rejection. But I don't want. I just want to work on what I'm working on. And if I hear news about a manuscript being acquired, then that's wonderful too. So
that's great that you were able to understand and set that boundary for yourself, because I could understand, like, if you're working on other things and you're hearing rejection after rejection, it's going to be difficult.
Right.
So even though we know it's part of the process.
So we discussed that, like she wanted to know exactly what I wanted from her, and and we talked for hours really to get to know each other. I was fortunate enough to meet her last November, so that was really exciting to finally come face to face, because she lives in Louisiana and I'm here in Illinois, so. But I'm so grateful that I have her as an advocate, and she believes my stories and my writing, and she champions. It's so wonderful because I can just get to the business of writing and reading to children, which is what I've always loved doing.
That's beautiful, Shirin. Let's see, we have someone else wanting to come in. Assalamu alaikum, Noor. We're here with Shirin Shamsi, the author of Zahra's Blessings and The Moon of Dehradun, and Layla in the, what is it called again?
Layla and the Sands of Time.
Layla in the Sands of Time. I love the cover of that one.
My brother designed the cover, actually.
Oh, mashallah. So. Mashallah. So, does anybody have any questions for Shirin? You could put it down in the chat, or you could just open up and ask Shirin. And Shirin, do you have any questions for us?
No, I'm happy to share what I know. I'm happy if anyone wants to reach out to me to answer any questions, because my journey was like, over 2 decades. And I would like, if I can shorten your journey in any way and make, the path of publication easier, I'm more than happy to do that. And I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you, Shirin. Yeah, go ahead, Anand.
Sorry, I couldn't find the right button, so what a real hand. I firstly want to say thank you. I think, mashallah, you've shared so much in such a short amount of time, and as is always the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I feel like it was designed for the people who are hearing this, right? The message always feels so specific. So I wondered if it would be possible for you to speak a little bit more to that sense of fear and how did you spoke about how you felt that your fear was greater than your desire to write in this way, and how did you tip that balance the other way?
Wow, that's a really good question. Thank you for that. I think I just had no confidence in myself or my writing. So I think my fear was often debilitating. Like I would write, maybe one day I would get inspiration and write. And I had this story, Layla and the Sands of Time. I had that story in my mind since my children were young. And I really wanted to write that story. But I just thought I'm not good enough. And I would put it away for years. So I think I first started writing it in 1996. Then I put it away. Then I think in 2001, I took it out again. I thought I need to write this story. We need more Muslim stories in the world, 2001. And then I again felt like this is so terrible. I need to put it away. I think when my son went to college, so I had done my job. I had raised my children, alhamdulillah. And I thought to myself, I don't know how much time I have. And I want to do something more. And writing really speaks to me. I feel like it's a passion, and I think it's a service to children. And for me, children have always been the most important people in the world. I have a background in early childhood, so children have always been my passion, in the sense that serving them, teaching them, reading to them. And I thought, if I can write this book, and if one child benefits, it will be worth it. And so I just sat down and I started writing, and I did have a lot of rejections. And then I think it was 2016, we had a new president, and there was a ban on Muslims. And suddenly there was this open call for Muslim writers. And I thought, I need to send this out now. And I did, and it got picked up. And that's how Layla and the Sands of Time came to be. But another thing that did shake me up was that I got really sick. And I thought to myself, if I've got very little time on this earth, what do I really want to do with my time? And I just thought, I want to write books for children so that they will feel inspired, they will feel seen, they will feel validated. And it's almost like I write for the child in me, the child that I was, who didn't have those books. And also, you know, for my children and the children of the world. And I honestly think to myself, like when I pray in the morning before I write, I just ask God to use me as a vessel for good, and accept my writing as an act of worship. That is what every day my intention is that. And I hope and pray I hope I can inspire others. I hope I can help. If you want to email me, I'm happy to help in any way. I will share what I know, and that's all I can do. But thank you for that question. And sorry, I always get emotional because I really feel that my writing is my purpose now.
It's so beautiful, Shirin. Thank you. And thanks for allowing us to witness all of this and to share with you and to read your books. I'm so glad that you got to another place with it, because we wouldn't be here right now if you didn't. We wouldn't be having this conversation. And I know that you've already inspired the illustrator of your book just at 7 years old, that she started illustrating, and inshallah, who know, like, how many other children you've inspired, inshallah. And I know, as writers, for all of us, like, I think that's what's really special about the writers in the Muslim Writers Salon, is that we do see our writing as a connection with the creator, and we want to use our writing for humanity, to betterment humanity.
I do want to add something. I want to say that I still struggle with imposter syndrome. I still struggle.
Yes.
Every new work I have is a struggle. But my friend knows that about me, and she gave me this book. It says, "Make a mess, not a masterpiece." So if you permission to just create and trust that you will create something worth reading. And again, if it helps one person, isn't it worth it? And if you didn't do that, didn't help that one person, then what is better? Just putting your work out there, or just not trying? We have to try, and inshallah you'll all be successful.
Inshallah.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing this. I mean, this is such a wonderful and inspiring thing that you're doing for all right.
Thank you. Thank you. I really love it. So it's really great, and really great to have all these connections, and to be in such a supportive environment, because we really want each other to succeed and to grow. So it's really beautiful to keep on meeting people on the same level.
Right. We have to help each other. We're all in it together, and we have to help each other raise each other up, support.